Welcome to Lesson 2. How'd you get on with your soul exercises? I hope you're getting to know yourself better. Your soul is the resource for all your work. Today we continue with the theme of relaxation. Again, relaxation? Stay with me. 90% of great acting is from a relaxed state. There's loads of work beforehand and loads going on during the work, and we'll learn that. But this lesson will give you proof that you should relax. And it's your toolkit for being free from anxiety using the latest findings from neuroscience. And to help me, you're going to meet Dr. Neuro. Like all the lessons on this course, it's important that you're free from any outside interruptions. So once again, let's free ourselves from this by switching it off while we're together. Before we dig in, though, I want to recap the Hagen exercise from our last lesson. How did it go? A big truth that we learned through that exercise is this, that anytime you come into a place, for example, from off stage to on stage, you're coming from someplace else. You don't instantly materialize into another room. You come from somewhere else, something happened to you in there to make you come into here, and now that you're here, you're bringing that momentum from there into here. And it's all based on what just happened. Put that into your work, especially auditions, because the other actors probably won't know to do that. Another point, should I tell you this? No. Yes, if you were able to do that exercise with intense focus and yet simplicity, you may have had a watershed moment in your acting, although you may not have realized it. When I first did the exercise, I thought, is that it? All I did was spend 2 minutes trying to figure out the complicated instructions on a timer. Where was the work? Where was the push? Where was the strain? That wasn't acting. Oh, yes, it was. If you didn't feel any of that old angst that we normally feel when acting, then you were doing it with a sense of subtlety. That's not boring. That's good. That's truthful. But it's only a start. So let's keep going. We artists are sensitive people. If we weren't, then we'd have an insatiable desire to be an accountant. Nothing wrong with accountants, and I'm sure they sometimes feel stress. But artists, for some reason, we feel everything more intensely. It's part of your talent. So in this lesson, we're going to look at tension. You might think it has nothing to do with acting, and you may think it might give you an edge, but trust me, it won't help your work, your career, or your life. I've seen anxiety sabotage actors for years, myself included. We might know our lines perfectly, we've rehearsed the scene, we're perfectly ready, but here comes the audience or the camera and we get tense. Or we think that as I'm going to be on stage, I have to tense my body so I can pour a lot of energy into my work, because after all, I'm not that interesting. That tension actually blocks our true feelings in and our creativity, which comes out of our ability to live in the present moment, which is exactly where our character should be moving and living. Let's see it in action. The following exercise comes from Anat, psychologist, dancer, and movement specialist. I was introduced to her exercises when I began teaching students on the autistic spectrum, who are amazingly talented. Her book, Move Into Life, is fantastic for any artist, and I highly recommend it. Emily and I are going to demonstrate one of her exercises. Now, I'm going to give this heavy book to Emily, and she's going to hold it in one hand, unfortunately. All right? Now, the heavy book represents the background tension that your muscles are feeling. Think of it as the tension in your body and your mind in the background when you're acting on stage. Now I'm going to take a pen and I'm going to place it on the book. So pay very close attention to the extra weight that you feel. Now as you hold the book, as you feel the pen, the sensations going into your muscles and your joints are too strong for you to notice the extra weight of the pen. Your brain cannot perceive the difference. But if I then take that away from you, and if I give you a sheet of baking paper and put the pen now on your hand, now can you perceive the difference in the weight?
Yeah.
So, what does this mean for the actor? If we hold tension in the body, and for most of us it's in the shoulders, neck, chest, and back, We are actually blocking the impulses going to the brain, which tell us what we should be feeling. The only emotion we will feel is the frustration of not feeling what we should feel. So, excessive use of force, be it physical, mental, or emotional, blunts our vitality. It makes us less able to feel, to fully experience what it means to be attuned to whatever we're engaged in. It drains our energy to the point of causing difficulty, injury, distress, even illness. When we reduce force, we become more fully present. We become more sensitive to what we're doing. We begin to notice finer differences, and we can achieve whatever we wish to achieve with a minimum of effort. In your homework at the end of this lesson, I want you to incorporate subtlety into your exercise. From my own experience, the internal lock to my London flat sometimes gets sticky. The tumblers don't exactly match my key. One time I had to catch a taxi. I was wrestling with the lock. Then I remembered to choose subtlety. I slowed down the action and made minute adjustments, and the key turned effortlessly in the lock. Let's explore this idea of taking things in a more subtle and slow manner. Find an object near where you are right now. It can be a flower vase, a garment, a water bottle, even a book. Using your dominant hand, move it fast and fleetingly over the object. Then stop. What did you get from that experience? What are you aware of that you just felt? Probably not much. Again, place your hand on the same object. This time, move your hand very slowly over it. Notice the texture, the shape, the temperature, how smooth or rough it is. Then stop. How was that experience? Do it again, this time even slower than before. Keep exploring while you listen. What we're doing here is awakening our senses, crucial to acting, but nearly always given short shrift because we're focusing on what's going on in our heads rather than what's happening in the world around us. So enjoy the simple activity of exploring your object. Simply explore and feel. Enjoy and let yourself feel whatever you feel. Can you feel a real difference in your senses as you slow down? Do you connect more with the object? Do you feel more? Does that feeling spread all through your body? And then stop and let that feeling go. Now that you're getting used to the idea of taking things slower, we're going to take it further with an experiment. And you might find that relaxation is your natural state when you stop creating tension. But let me warn you, as you do this exercise, you're going to start hearing voices.
This is boring. Who's that outside? I forgot to do my homework. Are we going to be doing this a lot on this course?
If one of these ideas pop up, and they will, just imagine that you're sitting beside a stream, and this intrusive idea is a leaf that's gliding down to rest on the water, and just watch it glide by. Then bring your attention back to the breath again. But trust me, this simple meditation exercise we're about to do will help you in many wonderful ways. So sit in a relaxed way, in a straight-backed chair with your feet on the floor and your legs and your arms uncrossed. Allow your arms and hands to be as relaxed as possible, with your hands resting on your thighs. Imagine your chest relaxing and opening. This is where some of us carry a lot of tension. Relax your belly. Don't worry, nobody's watching you. Very gently allow your eyes to close and focus your awareness on the breath as it flows into and out of your body. Allow your breath to come in slowly and deeply through your nose. Don't force it, just allow the body to be breathed. Allow the air to drop into the bottom of your lungs. This is where the best oxygen exchange happens, so enjoy giving your lungs plenty of air. Observe the sensations that you're feeling without trying to alter them in any way or expecting anything special to happen. Just notice your sensations and feelings as your belly expands and subsides while you breathe. When you take a relaxed, full breath, pause for a moment and then exhale slowly through your nose. And as you exhale, allow your whole body to just let go. You might picture your arms and legs going loose and limp like a rag doll. Keep your breathing smooth and regular while I give you some new instructions. When I say 2, on an exhale, silently say to yourself 1, and continue inhaling and exhaling, silently saying 2, counting all the way up to 10. When you reach 10, start over with 1. So the technique is inhale, pause, exhale, 1. Inhale, pause, exhale, 2, all the way up to 10. I'll do it with you for 5 minutes. Don't worry about the time, just keep focusing on your breath. And when your mind wanders, gently guide it back to the breath. Take it as it comes. Minds wander. It's what they do. The act of realizing that your mind has wandered and encouraging it to return to focus on the breath is a beautiful moment of awareness. See you in 5 minutes. Now, gently become aware of your surroundings. Become aware of the sounds that you hear, maybe even the feeling of a breeze on your cheeks. Gently move your fingers and your feet and slowly open your eyes. How do you feel now? Relaxation is our natural state. This will strongly disagree. We'll see why in a moment. Did any thoughts occur? Here's what might be a silly question. Were you actually thinking these thoughts? In other words, did you summon them up intentionally, or did they just appear? And if you decided, I don't want to think, could you control your mind? Of course not, because you are not your mind. By that I mean, we cannot control our minds. Our actions and behavior, yes, but thoughts and emotions occur as the result of some other influence. That influence, both for you or your character you're going to play, is in our next lesson. Learning acting is like building a house. And let me lay a crucial foundation stone down. Our minds are instinctively geared toward actions we need to take. The mystics call it karma. Karma means intention or action. Karma is not just good karma or bad karma. The mystics believe that it is the energy for progress and development and evolution that runs through us. That energy is very useful for the actor because the seed to the craft of acting is the reality of doing. You'll learn what that means later in the course. But just keep in mind that your mind automatically works in the direction of desire and progress and fulfillment. And as you'll see in the next lesson, it opens up a gold mine for you when you play your next acting role. But let me ask you this. During the meditation exercise, did you find yourself thinking about other people in your life? Doesn't matter if they were good thoughts or bad thoughts. If you did, it's because your mind was switching over to the default social cognition network. Do what? I bet you never thought you had one of those. This is another one of those brain plasticity foundation stones in your acting kit. To explain it, I need to introduce my alter ego, Dr. Neuro. Heidi-ho! In a fascinating book, Social, Why Our Brains Are Wired to Connect, neuroscientist Matthew Lieberman shares how brain scans have discovered that when you finish any problem solving, an area of your brain lights up when you're at rest. This default network of the brain controls what you think about yourself and what you think about other people in your life and your relationships with them. So Lieberman calls it the default social cognition network. Somewhere along the line, evolution made a bet that it would be important for human survival to use our social intelligence to relate to each other so that we could create societies. That's why the brain spends any free time doing it. Let's bring it back to this lesson. Your default social cognition network fired up when you started doing the meditation exercise. We're all wired to do this. And interestingly, even 2-day-old infants showed this activity before they developed any interest in the outside world, suggesting that this network is crucial in creating those social interests and interactions. What does this have to do with acting? Thank you, Dr. Neuro. I'll take over here. What does it have to do with your life and your acting? A lot. 1, it reminds us that all of us humans are connected. 2, it opens up opportunities to connect with others in our daily life. And 3, in our acting, it adds more depth to our characters. They too have this connection, although they don't know it. You see how this opens up all kinds of interesting behavior that's real, watchable, and surprising to the audience? Use this neuro network with your characters, and casting directors will see an interesting human with many layers, not just another someone doing a performance. As you'll see in the next lesson, this is the part of the artist within you that's the fuel for your performances, if you know how to use it. And if you've tried meditation before, this neuro network is why a lot of people give up on it. They think they're doing it wrong when this neural network kicks in, but it's actually healthy. Besides meditation, you can tap into the riches of this network in many other ways. You can relax and daydream, go for a walk in a quiet place, but you won't tap into that network on this. And I believe a lot of our problems today are because we deny ourselves the rejuvenation that comes from tapping into that default social cognition network. Can I just add one more bit about neuroscience and acting?
Sure.
Your breathing may be sabotaging your acting. Some actors find after an audition that all their choices about the character flew out the window and they lost that perfect accent that they worked on because in the heat of the moment they were trapped in the fight, flight, or freeze mode. You see, stress means that you cannot prioritize anymore. You have no choice in the matter. But you can make another choice before it happens, and it has to do with your breathing. If we're stressed, we probably do this. Instead, try this. After you inhale, let out a slow exhale. This will actually lower your heart rate because you'll be stimulating the vagus nerve and you'll release hormones into the body that diffuse tension and stress and promote healing. You should really get to know and love your vagus nerve. You can learn more by researching respiratory vagus nerve stimulation. So if you want to de-stress, don't breathe like this, as it will only make you more stressed. Breathe like this. Repeat that about 10 times and you'll find that you've calmed the mind. Hi-de-o!
Thanks, Dr. Neuro. Both of us strongly believe that breathing and meditation can help us artists to do our jobs better. So check out the additional audio downloads in this lesson. But I'll admit, sometimes taking life in a more slow and subtle way goes against every instinct in this fast-paced digital world. But here's what happens. Slowing down gets the brain's attention, increasing its activity, forming new patterns, like learning new lines. Slowing down calls us to be there while we are there. Slowing down intensifies what we feel and leads us to become aware of our thoughts and feelings. You look at any athlete or performer, and you'll see that they begin their work in a state of calmness. Does this really relate to acting? Try it. And you'll discover that if you can find ways to calm your soul and body, you'll be more receptive to the impulses, drives, and emotions that are going on inside you. And you'll be more in tune to what's happening with your scene partner, which will affect your relationship with them. And the more you can put your focus there, the easier and better your work will be if you can just remember to calm the soul. Now we come to your homework. Carry on with the Hagen exercises, which you'll find in your course book. Today we learn how to stay calm while facing the audience through Hagen's exercise called the fourth side. It's packed with helpful tools to use when you approach a monologue or acting for camera. Then I want you to take a neuro break. Do an activity that you really enjoy, but do it extremely slowly. Be completely present and aware, as if you had nothing to do but this. Try this at your next meal, for example. Rather than seeing eating as an interruption, slow down and intentionally take each bite in. Chew slowly and observe the sensations in your mouth and as your food enters further down into your body. How does the food affect your body? How does it make you feel? Enjoy this as a sensory experience. Later in the course, we're going to learn how the breath and the emotions are strongly related and how we can change our breathing to release the emotions of our character that we're sharing with the audience. So to begin developing that skill, your second activity I'd like you to try is to become aware of your breath in daily life. 3 times today, pause and be still for a few moments. Take your awareness inside your body to rest on the physical sensations of the breath. If you notice that you're holding your breath, as we often do, see if you can relax it a little. You can also bring awareness to the breath as you go about everyday life. Each time you notice that you're holding your breath against stress or discomfort, practice breathing into these sensations, softening the breath and relaxing any tension that you feel. We've learned a lot about the mind today, haven't we? And we artists need a very sharp imagination. Stella Adler claimed it was one of the most important abilities of an actor. So here's your third exercise. I invite you to find a quiet time and listen to the audio download in this lesson called Let the Mind Play. It's actually a powerful exercise to begin sharpening your imagination so that later you can find yourself in any character, even if they're really different than you. So let the mind play, and oh, the places you'll go. Another reason to celebrate your uniqueness, because no one will have ever been there before you. You're doing a lot of hard work on yourself.
Keep going. It'll pay off. A director I worked with finished each rehearsal with a Japanese saying, "Otsukaresama deshita," which means, I celebrate our hard work together, and I don't want it to end, but we must leave it for a while. In our next lesson, I'm going to take you to a gold mine. It'll help you in two ways. One, you'll learn how to find your way into any character. And two, it will absolutely reframe the way you relate to an audience and everyone you meet. And it'll help you further along the highway to opening your soul to the audience. For now, though, stay beautiful, calm the soul, and otsukaresama deshita.